You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you might get what you need. Hey everybody, Jay here. It is July 25th, 2012, and thanks for tuning in. I guess when you actually watch this, it'll be July 26th, but hey, that's just details. Immediately jumping into some news for today that interested me. Congressman and presidential hopeful Ron Paul finally got his bill for auditing the Federal Reserve passed by Congress. In an overwhelming 327 to 98 vote, the House of Representatives passed Ron's bill. The bill increases the transparency of the Federal Reserve. Ron Paul actually introduced a variation of this bill over a decade ago, and even in 2008 wrote this book. The book's central idea was about how to make the Federal Reserve and its activities more public. If you aren't familiar with the Federal Reserve, here's the basic gist. The Federal Reserve is an independent central banking system here in America. It was created in 1913 by the Congress that was also under the administration of Woodrow Wilson. The Federal Reserve has the power to coin money for the United States, with little to no oversight from Congress. The key argument for Ron Paul is that with so little oversight, it's easy for the Federal Reserve to maintain some corruption of power. It's also fun to note that while it's called the Federal Reserve, it's actually no more federal than McDonald's. And yet this privatized being has all the power for making and distributing the money here in America. So what does this mean for Ron Paul and the 270 co-signers of the bill? Well, not a lot, unfortunately. While the bill received overwhelming support in the House, it's declared dead on arrival in the Senate. It was widely panned by Democrats in both the House and the Senate, including Maryland's own Steny Hoyer, who said, "I agree with Chairman Bernanke that congressional review of the Fed's monetary policy decisions would be a nightmare scenario, especially judging by the track record of this Congress when it comes to governing effectively." So yeah, there's that. While it is unlikely to see any real action in auditing the Fed, it finally seems like something is being done about it. There's a little bit more awareness, and now that they passed this bill, it looks like maybe some auditing is in the future, and we can see what's going on behind a lot of those closed doors. So yeah, that wraps up that story. But on a somewhat related note, but not really, I'd like to point out that in 2009, Dr. Ron Paul signed my book for me, and his signature looks like this. I only point out what his signature looks like because this is what most doctors' handwriting looks like. Seriously, have you ever looked at the signature on your prescription? It looks like they had a seizure. And we move on. Next story is celebrity slash who really gives a shit news, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Twilight star Kristen Stewart has admitted to cheating on her Twilight co-star boyfriend Robert Pattinson. Did I just mess his name up? I don't even care to look. According to People magazine, the 22-year-old Stewart hooked up with the Snow White and the Huntsman director, 41-year-old Rupert Sanders. I'm not even sure why I'm reporting this. I truly just don't give a shit. But since I'm on the topic, goddamn, Snow White was just a terrible, terrible movie. I'm serious. That was just a real piece of shit. I mean, I would rather cut slits into my grundle and jump into a poison ivy bush than ever watch that piece of shit again. I mean, seriously, it was that bad. Here's basically the acting performance of Kristen Stewart in that movie. Happy. Sad. Surprised. Angry. Lonely. Confused. Bored. And finally, regretful that she cheated on Robert Pattinson. Just as a word of caution, I would not see any movie with Kristen Stewart in it if I were you. Unless you want to get a firearm and Elvis your own television. I mean, really. Just kicking that thing over and just shooting the shit out of it. Except Into the Wild. Into the Wild was a pretty good flick. But that was mainly because Emile Hirsch is a great actor. And because Kristen Stewart's only in the movie about 10 minutes or so. It's a lot like having diarrhea for about 10 minutes. But then it's gone, and you feel so much better. Finally, a new study shows that exposure to light at night can lead to depression. The LA Times reports that in a publication by Molecular Psychiatry, I think I pronounced that right, molecular, leaving on any items that emit light, TVs, iPads, cell phones, that kind of stuff, can lead to major depressive disorders. The light is said to disrupt the circadian rhythms and has been linked to obesity, heart disease, and even breast cancer. The study was done on female laboratory hamsters. After 4 weeks of sleep with light exposure, the hamsters actually lost their appetite and when forced to swim actually spent more time immobile than trying to swim to safety than the test group. The study also noted that 99% of America and Europe suffered from light pollution on a nightly basis. The good news, the negative effects aren't permanent. The study shows that within 2 weeks, the hamsters, they were back to normal. Yay, case studies! I don't know about you, but for years I've fallen asleep with the TV on. Not because I like TV that much or anything like that, but I just have a hell of a time falling asleep. And then once I get to sleep, it's staying asleep. That's a problem for me. And even though I always set up a sleep timer that automatically turns off at a certain time, I may have been a moody little asshole because I left the TV on. Who knew? And because I'm on Facebook a lot. Because Facebook is my #1 contributor to psychotic anger. I swear to God, the next girl that bitches about how she just got dumped but now she's fine because she's going to the bars with the girls and singing Single Ladies by Beyonce, I'm probably gonna punch my computer. I wouldn't shoot it like the television with Kristen Stewart, but I would punch it. Anyway, that's all I felt like talking about today. Feel free to comment, like, share, and all that good stuff. And if you would be such a sweetheart and a hipster, share it on your Facebook. Thanks so much for taking the time, tuning in and watching and all that good jazz. And I will see you next time.
You're what the Spanish call terrible.